spent a lot of time in my head, right? I spent a lot of time walking around thinking about, well, what do we need to do? What does our life need to look like? What do I need to do to improve my position and to take the most advantage or the biggest advantage of the opportunities I have? And what I forgot to do in that was, or I guess better yet, what I realized in that is that this thing that we're facing, this thing with COVID-19 and the economic impact that it's going to have, if in case you don't realize it, this is probably the biggest event that anyone on earth has ever experienced. Not only from the standpoint of a health crisis, but from the standpoint of an economic crisis. See, you notice no one is talking about the economic impact. No one's saying, hey guys, batten down the hatches. You better start saving money. You better get out of debt because things are starting to get scary. You better pull your money, put it in a safe mode because there's a crash coming. You know why they're doing that? Because while the rich people are actually jockeying their money around, the rest of us are keep holding on to the idea that somehow this is going to be a really good thing for us, or somehow everything is going to be okay. But I want to bring a couple things to your attention before you go jumping onto that bandwagon and you continue to spend your time focusing on all the noise that's around you and not planning for your future, because that's where it's going to be at. Let's look at this for a minute. So 45 million people are unemployed right now. And it's probably more than that, because that's not even counting the people that have failed or cannot apply for unemployment because of different issues, right? That's just the people on record. So maybe add another 20% to that. All right. Now, you're doing good right now. I'm doing good right now. The economy's doing good right now. But what's going to happen when the stimulus money stops? What's going to happen when the government finally says it is not viable for us to continue to pay you this amount of money every week to do nothing? We have to put people to work. Well, in order for that to happen, what's going to occur is this whole thing is going to grind to a halt, to where the $200 you're guaranteed, or they're talking about giving people who are unemployed as a result of this second stimulus package, and that $200 you're complaining about. There are some people out there, and conditions are going to get bad enough to where you're going to be thankful you get that $200. See, they're not talking about the number of businesses that have shut their doors simply because they can't make any money. And the way things are going right now, and the system that they're forced to operate under, does not allow them to earn enough money to pay the overhead it costs to stay in business. This is math. This is math. So what happens? Tax revenues drop, income taxes drop. There is going to be a severe lack of cash in this country. And what happens when companies don't have cash? They don't expand. What happens when companies don't have cash? They don't hire people. If you think for 1 second that it's over, the worst is over, wait till that 45 million people stop getting an income. And wait until, because COVID continues to run rampant and people are making adjustments to keep people alive, it's going to take a long time for COVID to actually kill enough people or get all the weaklings off the earth and actually die out if we don't come up with a vaccine. And even if that does happen, is it likely that as soon as COVID is cured and is conquered and we have the vaccine, that your life is going to go back to normal? The only people who are going to have jobs are essential workers. And if you're reluctant to go back into the classroom, then you have got a decision to make. Either you come up with an innovative idea that no one's thought about to ensure children get an education and you still sustain your employment value. That is, you bring value to your employer, you're not going to have a job. Let's just pretend for the sake of discussion that this thing goes even worse than anyone ever imagined. Do you have a strategy for supplementing your income? Do you have a strategy for eliminating your debt and a way to provide shelter and the basic needs for your family? This is what we might be talking about. Now, they're not going to say this. They're not going to say this. Why would they say this and cause catastrophic chaos, people pulling money out of banks and cause a complete collapse of the economy and the rich people lose a bunch of money, but the poor people lose everything? That's what we're facing here. And if you got your head in the sand and you want to spend your time focusing on all the bullshit and all the distractions that are going on in the world right now, and you're not looking at your own life and examining your own life from the perspective of how can I leverage this? Where are we headed in a month or week, or what am I going to do if things go south, if things get really bad and I never get back to work, or I can't get back to work at the same job I was doing? What's interesting about this is there are people that are already thinking this way. There are people that aren't on unemployment. They lost their jobs, but instead of going on unemployment and taking that handout that they have no control over, they went out and they hustled up 2 jobs. And granted, it sucks. They never see their family, and they're always working, and they're always tired, and there's never enough. But guess what? It is enough to keep their family fed and a roof over their head. And it took some tough decisions. It took decisions like liquidating that big ass truck and going and buying a beater. It took decisions like putting that house on the market and capitalizing on that equity while you still can, while the market's still strong. It took tough decisions like talking to your family about the things we can have and the things we can no longer afford, because if we keep paying those bills, in a month or two the savings is going to be gone. And we're barely making the money to pay for the bills now. But if there was ever a podcast you need to listen to, this is the one. This is the one, because basically I'm putting my neck out on the line here, and I don't think I'm that far off. But I'm putting my neck out on the line because what if I'm right? What if I'm right to the point that social services, social benefits get cut in half or even more, and unemployment remains at 70% of your last employment's wage? So let's say you're a waitress and you make $300 a week. You're making $230 a week on unemployment. Can you imagine? I mean, when rent prices are somewhere around $1,200, the average house cost in America is right around $360,000, and a decent vehicle costs you $40,000. A used Toyota, a used Dodge truck is still going for $15,000, $18,000. That's 10, 15, 20 years old. If there was ever a podcast you need to listen to, this is the one, because there is a storm coming, and I did a podcast about it. Of course, people don't want to look at that. They want to be optimistic, and that's fine. Be as optimistic as you can. In fact, I'm the biggest optimist in the world. I see an opportunity in my future for me to own my dream home. But I'm in a position to wait for it. I have no pressure to have to make a decision or to liquidate my assets, because I did that long before the crash ever came in. I rallied around my family. I said, what's best for us and in our best interest, and what's going to give us longevity and sustainability regardless of economic conditions. And we made those choices, and look where we're at. But not everybody is in that position. I mean, we can keep talking about it if you want. We can keep discussing it. Here's the thing. You wake up every day and you ask yourself why you do what you do. Take a look at the possibilities and what you can actually sustain. What events can occur in your life that you'll be able to survive. And if having your income interrupted or having it significantly reduced does not allow you to maintain the lifestyle you're currently living, then the only option you have is to make a change in that lifestyle. If the forecast says that it's possible that you are not going to be employed at the same level you are, then why wouldn't you take action on your life while you still can, while everybody's still got their head in the sand, to start liquidating those assets and capturing as much cash to leverage the opportunities you're going to have in this new world that's being created, in this new environment? Because the environment is changing, okay? This is changing. Do you know why the dinosaurs are no longer on the earth? It's because they couldn't evolve quick enough to accommodate the changes in their environment. And this is basically what we're talking about. Oh, sure, a meteor hasn't struck yet and blocked out the sun, but economically it has. And socially, the impact that COVID-19 has had on our life, I mean, it blocked out our future. We can't even, most people are having trouble even envisioning their future since COVID-19 hit. And here we are. We're not looking at where we're going. We're not scanning the horizon for opportunities for us to actually grow and actually hammer it, nail it, and find those things that are coming, see what's coming, looking at the dangers that face us and getting ready for it and making a strategy for surviving it and for evolving in this new world we live in. No, we're making excuses and we're blaming everybody. Oh, it's their fault. Democrat, it's the Republicans' fault. It's the rich's fault. It's the poor's fault. It's the homeless's fault. It's the illegal aliens' fault. I mean, it's just this finger pointing. But let me remind you, what does that do? What that does is that creates the distraction so you won't see it coming. There is nothing worse. You ever seen those videos where a dude gets blindsided by a dad or something? Some guy has the daughter out and the dad comes up and just smacks him square in the jaw. He don't even see it coming. It just knocks him flat on his back. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. This is how some people are going to get. That's how they're going to find out that they need to be adjusting things. That's how they're going to find out that you need to tighten your belt and you need to start thinking about survival. It's not going to be about living your best life from the standpoint of cruises in the Caribbean and traveling to Europe and up into Canada and a trip to Alaska. Your best life is probably going to be about finding a job that pays you enough so that you can continue to feed your family. And who wants to listen to a podcast like, who wants to hear this shit? Right, that's exactly the point. But it doesn't change a thing. It doesn't change whether you listen to it or not. It's coming, watch, you'll see. That's what my dad just told me. He'd say, I've it us. You'll see. So in return, what I'm asking you to do is take a look at your life, take a look at the things you're doing, ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario for me and how can I hedge my bet that I'm ready for it? What can I do to get myself ready for it? If you're on unemployment and you're sitting there drawing that government check, I would be off my butt every day until you fulfill your goal to get 2 jobs, to find 2 ways to earn an income. If you have a partner or spouse and the opportunity to work is there, or you can alternate shifts so that you can draw in maybe 3 incomes, because you can alternate shifts, the 2 of you, and then somebody can work extra work, then you might want to start doing that. If you have an opportunity to sell your house, sell that big ass truck, get out from underneath that debt, then that's what I'd be doing. Because you can always buy all that shit back. You can always go back out there when the economy goes back the way it is, and you can buy anything you want when you're doing good. But if you're sitting there waiting, thinking everything's going to be fine, and you're not taking action and liquidating those assets and eliminating your issues, you might find yourself in a world of hurt in a very short amount of time. Because the way I see it, this issue we're facing with the economy right now, we're right on the edge. This thing is about to go over. That ship is about to fall off the edge of the earth into a deep, dark hole. And if you haven't tied yourself off to some stability, to a plan that has enabled you to stabilize your income, reduce your outlay, and have a strategy for how you're going to live and where you're going to live and what your new life is going to look like, you're going to go over the edge with the rest of the people who haven't planned for that, who are still walking around thinking, oh, it's going to be okay. Oh, so what's on social media? I'm not clowning you. Don't mean to clown you here, but this is serious business. And like I said, you don't see it. A lot of people don't see it coming because a lot of people aren't looking at the horizon. But it's coming. And if it comes and you're not ready for it, get ready for a long fall. All right, guys, as always, listen, I keep rolling with this. Sorry that the tone has changed, but the reality is the environment has changed. This isn't about living an adventure or cruises and umbrella drinks. This is about survival. And if you make the right choices and you take a look at your life, no matter what happens in the future, you will be able to work through it. You will be able to find a way to grind through it. And it's by doing the best you can. It's by picking a path that defines how you're going to get from where you are to where you need to be. So until next time, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.